All right. Hello, you guys. We're live. Sorry, I was muted. Hello. Welcome, you guys, to another live on the Learn to Draw Manga channel. It's been a while. I'm back after the chaotic live that I had a couple of weeks ago. So I hope everything is okay now. My internet's fine now. If anyone who saw that live a couple of weeks ago is here tuning in today. Um, yeah. Hello, everyone. Hello, LA Rat. I think LA Rat is a returning viewer. Welcome back. Who else? Fallen Angel, hello. Shin, hello. Takari, hi Takari. Takari is one of our students. Thanks for joining us today. All right, thank you guys for joining us today. I would drop a comment in the chat. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'd love to know. I'd love to shout out people from all parts of the country. It's always nice to know where everyone of our subscribers is from, just so we get to know you guys and give you guys a shout out once we do these kinds of lives, you know. So yeah, let me know, what time is it, you guys? Where are you from? Malaysia. Pals is from Malaysia. Hi, Pals. Lena is from India. Hi, Lena. Hello, Sega Master from South Africa. Hello, Lone Wolf from India. Hello, Incredulous. Thanks for the dono. Guys, you don't have to donate. It's fine. But thanks for the dono anyways. Guess who's back? Will you name the stream chat? All right, thank you, Incredulous. Hi, Yo Gaming. Hi, it's 7 p.m. for Pals. Well, thank you so much, Pals, for tuning in. Who else? Fallen Angel is from Pakistan. Hi, Fallen. Punished Varg is from South Carolina. Hello, Punished Varg. Who else? Indonesia, India. We have a couple of people from India. Hello, you guys. All right. Thank you guys so much for coming onto the live today. We had another live yesterday. Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on to the live interview today as well. Lone Wolf asks, ma'am, can you recommend some storybooks to improve our storytelling skills? I mean, I think we can talk about it once we get into the interview proper. But for now, let's put a pin in that, and I'll come back to that question later. But yeah, off the top of my head, the kind of books that we read in the course are books from our mentors. Yazawa Sensei has a book of her own. Rena Sensei has a book of her own. I can't remember the titles off the top of my head, but yeah, if you just look up now Yazawa and Rena Saya, you can find a couple of their how to draw manga books. And how to improve storytelling, you could also check out Hirohiko Araki's how to make manga book. I'm not sure if that was the right title, but Hirohiko Araki has a book about how to make manga as well, and he does talk about storytelling tips in that book, which I recommend you check out. And yeah, those are the books off the top of my head. I'm so sorry I couldn't give exact titles. All right. I think we already got a couple of people in the chat. Thank you guys so much for tuning in wherever you are. If you're new here, a huge welcome. It's so thrilled to have you guys joining us today. And to our delightful describers or repeat viewers, welcome back. And a big thank you for loving and watching our content. And we seriously appreciate all your support. And it's really nice getting to interact with you guys through these live sessions and all. So now we're going to dive into another interview with another one of our amazing students in our program, right? So I hope you're just as pumped and just as excited as I am, because I always look forward to having these live interviews with our students, because it's always nice to like go back down memory lane and see all the progress that they've made so far in the program. So yeah, this is the time to like shine a light on their wonderful work and give them the spotlight that they so rightfully deserve. Right. So I'm super excited. Are you guys excited? Please let me know in the chat. Maybe drop some claps in the chat or whatever reaction emojis you're feeling in the chat. Please let me know. All right. Are you guys excited? Sega Master says yes. Yes, he's excited. All right. Knights. Yes. Yes. LA Rat's excited. Daniel's excited. Sega Master's excited. All right. So thank you guys for warming up the chat for our student for today. So yeah, it's really nice to see all of the enthusiasm. All right. But before we get into it, okay, here's what I want to know first. Have you guys ever struggled to make manga for months, maybe years? Or have you ever thought you weren't good enough to make manga? Or even have you ever, I don't know, gave up or just stopped because you didn't have the time or thought, what's the point in trying? Okay, if you have, say yes in the chat, or maybe drop just a thumbs up in the chat if you can relate. Or maybe just say, I can relate. Yeah, I can relate to this. This is totally me. Cool kid. Almost. Okay. Yeah. Miyuki says, yes, I gave up 2 mangas. Oh, why? Why'd you give up? Why'd you give up on 2 mangas? Okay, I'd love to know if you can drop it in the chat. I'd love to know. Who else? Do you like manga Demon Slayer? Yes, Kazuki. I read Demon Slayer. I finished Demon Slayer. I love Demon Slayer. Incredulous says, I gave up 1 and now I have 2 one-shots. Oh, so by having 2 one-shots, you mean you finished a one-shot, Incredulous. If you have, that's great. All right. That's awesome. Sega Master says, this is relatable. Okay. I can't make manga because of high school. Yeah, I get that. LA Rat says, well, I haven't been able to start because I have a nagging feeling I'm too young to publish. Yeah. I mean, how young? Like how I don't want you don't have to say how old you are, but if you're too young, that gives me an idea that maybe you're like below 18 years old. Yeah. But you're never too young to join manga contests, that's for sure. I gave up because of the story. It was hard to keep up with. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a common struggle that we've noticed among the artists that we've spoken to over the years. So yeah. Now, if any of these statements struck a chord with you guys, as you can see from the chat of the people who say that they relate to all of this, you're definitely not alone, okay? Because today you see that everyone else in the chat has their own struggles, and today you'll also be introduced to someone who truly understands what the struggle feels like, okay? So today's guest is living proof that it's never too late to pick up the pen again or to start making manga again, all right? Because our student, Joe Barber, is a full-time web developer from England who stopped drawing for 5 whole years, right? And at one point, he thought he'd peaked and that his best work was behind him until his friends started urging him to pick up drawing again, and until he came across one of our YouTube videos and reignited his passion for drawing and for making manga. And just 4 months after joining our one-shot manga drawing program, Joe created his very first manga again, and he's finally back to drawing and making manga after a 5-year hiatus. So it's pretty amazing, you guys. And in this interview, Joe's going to be opening up about the turning point that brought him back to drawing and how he pushed through self-doubt, creative burnout, and the moment that made him love drawing and making manga and making comics again. Okay, so if you've ever felt stuck, or if you've ever felt like you were too busy, or you were too far behind to start making your own manga, then Joe's story is definitely one that you need to hear. All right. So please stay until the end for the Q&A to make sure to find out how you can work with pro Japanese manga artists like Joe has in the past year. All right. So now, without further ado, let's dive in. Meet Joe. Hi, Joe. Can you quickly introduce yourself to the audience?
Hi, so my name is Joe, and yep, as has been said before, I am a full-time web developer here in the United Kingdom, and yep, I'm currently working on my debut manga that will be going out into comic stores hopefully later this year.
All right. Very, very exciting, Joe. And I hope you guys are excited as well now that Joe is here. You could check out Joe's art pages. You can just like look up the link on screen right now. And I'm gonna be sending the link right here to go check out his stuff. All right, you guys. So yeah, thank you so much, Joe, for coming onto the live. It's really great to have you. So like you
Thank you for
said,
having me.
Joe, yeah, like you said, Joe, you're a web developer by trade. Now, what inspired you to want to try and make manga, and why choose manga as a way to tell your stories?
That's quite a funny one actually, because my qualifications, kind of like going through education, going through like schooling, university, that was all kind of like towards animation, game development. I actually published a graphic novel in my final year at university,
Mm,
and unfortunately, just nothing came out of it. And I had a lot of good leads, a lot of disappointments, and eventually yeah, it just got too difficult. So, one thing led to another. I ended up in game development, and then a friend of mine says to me, "Well, you should be doing pixel art, and you should learn how to code." Learned how to code, and now I'm a web developer.
mm.
I like to say I like to say I'm a comic artist and a web developer on the side, if that makes sense.
All right. So why start now? Why try again now?
Well, it's kind of something you touched on before. I was kind of like browsing through YouTube. I'd had this kind of work-life balance figured out where I would be, doing my work, doing my overtime, getting home, trying to like scrape together whatever mental energy I had left to chip away at my projects. And it was just going nowhere. And
Mm,
yeah, I mentioned I had a 5 year hiatus, and yeah, it the thing that really struck me, I saw one of the Learn to Draw manga shorts. It just randomly popped up in YouTube.
mm,
And I think the line that hit me was, are you going to look back in another 5 years and have nothing to show? Have nothing to show for it, have nothing to, this thing that you love, this thing that drives you, that you're so passionate about, and you've got nothing to show for it for 5 years worth of work.
mm,
And I looked back at the previous five. Yeah, I've been, hacking together at like, various digital projects, and none of them were finished. And I
mm,
thought to myself, 5 years time am I going to have the exact same experience?
mm.
No, that's not going to happen.
So yeah, I'm glad that you I'm glad that you saw one of our shorts and that made you like, oh, realize, no, I don't want to look back in the last 5 years and like regret not having done anything and not
Mm.
having pursued something that you're really passionate about. And would it be fair to say that making comics, making manga is something that your dream of doing? Has it been always been a dream of yours? Or
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. I think the first comic I finished was it was back in 2005, and it was made on A4 printer paper, held together with like bits of sellotape, and I think it was about 20 pages long. And it was just it's just the whole, yeah, I like to draw. I like to draw, and figuring out you can draw things in sequence and tell a story. hold on. That that was quite that was quite a core memory for me growing up, and it's just been I've just been hooked ever since. It has been a dream of mine to be able to do this professionally. So
Mm.
yeah, I think it's fair to say it's something that drives me quite a lot.
How you say that it's your dream and
Mm.
it's fair to say it's quite important to you. It's definitely what's driving you through your journey of trying to learn how to make manga, try to learn how to make comics again and like get back into the groove of things because 5 years of not drawing is a long time. All right. So would you say that it's definitely have you been trying to learn how to draw again now that you've like started in the program? Has it been a process of, oh, I don't know how to draw now because it's been 5 years? Or it's like, well, I'm still familiar with how to draw, but it's just like I've lost all of my confidence and all of my inspiration and all of that.
It's very difficult to lose the muscle memory. It's very difficult to
Mm,
lose, because we know how to construct a head. We know how to use the Loomis method. That's rote knowledge.
mm,
But it's the overcoming the motivation thing. It's being
mm,
able to kind of look at your work, listen to your, like your inner perfectionism demons telling you that's wrong, that's wrong, that's wrong, that's not good enough. How long did this take you? Is that effort worth it? It's just about moving past that hurdle and getting it finished. And
mm,
like for example, the page you have on screen right now, like that took me weeks to finish. Well,
mm,
it's not even finished.
mm,
And being able to work on something for a long time and being able to finish that thing, two very different skill sets, I feel.
mm. And have you ever like finished a comic or a manga before? Like before you took the hiatus.
Yeah, my
Mm,
book I published in 2017. Actually, if I could just reach over to my shelf right now, if you'd
mm.
entertain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because
Uh,
I didn't have access to it, so I was trying.
yep,
All I had was like work in progresses. So if you could show
uh,
the audience.
it's blurry, I'm afraid, but yeah,
Mm,
that was it's about 40 pages long and in like
mm,
full art color. It was on sale for like God, I think it was like £4
mm.
on shelves in like very limited runs for a couple months.
Okay.
It didn't
Oh,
do
that's pretty. That's
it didn't
honestly
do
really
particularly well.
cool. It's really cool. It's really cool. I mean, you have it in your hand. I mean, most artists don't have that, you know? They don't have their own like published comic or their own published manga in their hands. So that's already quite an accomplishment in itself. So yeah, it's really cool. Now, what would you say were the particular challenges that you faced when you first started trying to learn how to make manga? Like, what sort of challenges did you face in terms of like maybe finding your art style or maybe in terms of like storytelling? How did you struggle?
So this is after the hiatus or before it, just generally.
Yeah, just generally.
Okay, like hmm, that's an interesting one. Like struggles, I mean, you have the basics. You have you know, the way I would practice is I would literally like sit down and fill about 12 sides of A4 with concentric circles until I was able to draw a circle freehand. You draw boxes from different angles until it starts to look good in perspective. There's the technical skills, but um, sequential storytelling, working on comics, like there's a lot going on under the hood. Like
Mm,
pacing, like storytelling. I mean, it's something that we learn in the course, the whole like Kisho Tenketsu thing.
mm,
That's massively helpful, and that is a struggle to think like, okay, I have this story, I have about however many page, you say to yourself, oh, I'm going to make this thing that's 80 pages. It's like, okay, how long does it take to make a page? A week? Can you? work on the same project for 80 weeks and you've not done anything smaller before that. Okay, let's
Mm,
dial it back, work on something smaller first. You make a
mm,
yonkama, you make a 2 page, you make a 4 page.
mm. Okay.
So
So like the biggest project that you've ever finished was the one that you published, right? 40 page.
yes,
Was
that's
it that? All right.
yeah.
And since then, have you ever done something as big or have you just dialed it back down like you said?
Well, the the graphic novel I ended up printing, taking to print, that was, the end of university. That was when I thought I had peaked.
Okay.
That was a difficult, kind of, you finish a project and I really encourage other artists to like, really try, even if you don't think that's going to be a step you're going to take, try to make something that can be printed because it really is great to see your work
Hmm.
physically. It's
Yeah.
different. And coming down off of that feeling, off of that accomplishment, because you think to yourself like, well, that was a lot of effort. How am I going to possibly do that again? And then you get stuck in this circle of like, well, time to work on the next project. Okay, but will I be able to? It's a whole like negative self-talk
Hmm.
thing. So,
Yeah.
anyway, to answer your question,
Yeah.
sorry, I went on a tangent. Um, so the current like project I've worked on is about 22 pages.
Hmm.
So yeah, it's scale it back to something that's manageable, scale it back to something you can realistically do within a month, and
Hmm.
then build up from that.
Yeah. So that's actually something that we actually teach in the one shot manga drawing program, you guys. Like we teach you guys how to make a one shot because that's a common thing that a lot of beginners struggle with. It's making projects that are way too big for their skill set, right? Like they're not equipped to handle, let's say, a 40-page manga or maybe an this huge multi-chapter manga that goes up to like 100 chapters or maybe 80 chapters because we have had some students who've had projects like that and they never managed to finish it because it was too big for them. It was too long, too big, and they didn't know how to piece it all together because one, their storytelling skills weren't the best and their paneling skills weren't the best either. So what Joe said, that you need to be able to dial it back to something that's a bit more manageable for you and for the current skill set that you have, and you learn and learn from there, right? And it's also important to keep practicing so that you can improve your skill set so that you can get better and better to take on more and more projects that are bigger than the last one. So yeah, that's good advice from Joe. Now, Joe, what made you decide to join our one shot manga drawing program?
Well, the thing that made me finally pull the trigger was well, it was that question. It was
Mm,
do I want to look back in 5 years and and I'd exhausted most other self-help books. There's like other YouTube channels which say, oh, follow this playlist for more, and we'll get, challenges like that. Other art communities, which is usually just a lot of people shouting over each other.
mm,
Um, the learn to draw manga, it's more one-on-one. It's
mm,
and I saw that from the outset, and I just really thought to myself, this is going to be an investment on myself, on my own ability to help me contribute, if that makes sense. That's sort of
mm,
kind of what really drove that decision.
all right. So you mentioned that it was that line from the short that you saw that really pushed you into action, right? And I think you also mentioned in our pre-interview that you thought to yourself, okay, I have to prove myself wrong. Okay, so that's why you went for the consultation call and that's why you signed up. And you joined us way back in like August of 2024. And just 4 months later, since joining the program, you finished your first Yonkoma manga, and I noticed like you really like to make Yonkomas. So, but back to that first Yonkoma you made, how did it feel like making that first Yonkoma after being on hiatus for so long?
I mean, it was great. It was, here was something that it was short, it was to the point, and more importantly, I got it finished in about an hour and a half,
Mm.
which that's big. Um, it felt like, yeah, it just felt like a mental block had just been pulled out. And yeah, there was this like fundamental fear that I had that like you'll never be able to overcome, you'll never be able to surpass your past self. You've already peaked. You
Mm.
won't be able to finish anything like this ever again. And now finishing that first Yonkum and finishing that first project was like a no, I can prove you wrong now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, I managed to do this in an hour and a half, like you said, and feel pretty satisfied by the end of it. I mean, yeah, it might seem like a small thing, like it's just 4 panels, but you guys like getting that first thing done always feels so satisfying because it just lets you know, okay, I can do this, you know? So yeah, I'm glad that you felt like really good about it, Joe. Now, what has been your favorite part being in the program so far then?
Easily the like the community, the group activities. We have the coaching sessions where we all get on a call, we get a prompt, and then we have like an hour or so to make a yonkama, make a two-page manga, make whatever that satisfies that prompt. And it's really, we have some fun times just kind of like coming together
Mm.
as a group, sharing our work, sharing our creative process, and then the result at the end. I mean, you know, you can go a whole week and still be kind of like stuck storyboarding like a larger project, but then you take one day out and now you have like a completed 2 pages of completed Yonkama. It's
Yeah.
like great that immediately I feel more productive today.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's always nice to be able to go through that process of like, okay, I'm gonna make a yonkoma for today for this session, and it's nice to have to know that you have your fellow students there with you doing the same thing, right? Like you're basically motivating each other to finish what the task at hand, you know. So yeah, I'm glad to know that, Joe. Now, what's it like getting feedback from pro mangakas? We've talked about the community, we've talked about the coaching calls, but what's it been like actually getting direct feedback from the pro mangaka mentors?
It's great. It's so like when I went to university for like CGI animation, we had lecturers who were like deep in the industry who still did professional work. So I know what it's like to get feedback from a professional already, but it was very much the same experience of just like you're putting your work before someone who's already been tested, who's already seen those trials, and who can like the feedback they give you is always just like on point. They will spot things that you never even thought to check. It is a
Mm.
it's an experience, especially Yuzawa Sensei's critique. I mean, those were always, very
Yeah.
scathing, very harsh, and I love it. It's like you cannot be precious. You have to be prepared to burn your entire body of work down because it will
Mm.
be reborn.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
great.
But Yazawa Sensei is really great. She's great. She, like you said, scathing critique on your work, but it's for the best, right? Because
It's always
yeah,
for your improvement. Her books are fantastic,
yeah,
by the way.
yeah, it's always for the best. Like Yazawa Sensei is always looking out for the students' improvement, and she's always like, okay, if you want to improve, this is what you got to do, and you shouldn't be offended by this because I'm trying to help you, you know.
Yes.
So yeah, it's always great when the mentors are upfront with you and are really delivering like valuable critique that you really need to hear, even if it's kind of hard to listen to at first, especially if you don't have the stomach for like criticism, you guys. So, yeah, it's always nice. Now, what do you think is the best piece of advice or maybe lesson you got from one of the mentors or maybe even one of the coaches that really changed the way you make manga?
So the best piece of advice I got artistically was to when you are planning out a storyboard, when you're planning out your thumbnailing, to look at the whole two-page spread. Treat the whole page as its own separate piece of art, because that just, you have to hold people, you have to hold the viewer's attention, you have to hold the reader's attention over the whole thing. And if it's not something that's good to look at, then they're not going to stick around.
Yeah.
That's like on an artistic level. I think on a more kind of personal art journey level, if you can't tell a story within 4 panels, you can't. There's no point trying to tell a story in 40 pages.
Yeah.
I think that was like, yeah, because I had that problem. Too many panels, too many pages. Ideas were too big, and they can be compressed and made more digestible.
Okay. So, do you think that's why you've been practicing a lot with yonkomas then?
Probably yes.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Yonka, like, how do you feel you've progressed so far practicing like making all these Yonkomas? But like, I know you've already transitioned to making like 2-page mangas and like 4-page mangas and all of that. But you started with the Yonkomas, right? So how do you feel like that progression helped you? Like starting with Yonkoma, starting small, then 2-page, and then 4-page, and then eventually like bigger and bigger as you go.
I think the major kind of lessons that I learned, it was so one bit of advice I got pretty early on was, because the first Yonkama I was creating, they were a bit esoteric, they were a bit hard to understand because you needed
Mm,
like foreknowledge to be able to get the things I was like putting in.
yeah,
And to put it bluntly, I'm not going to be able to stand over the reader's shoulder and explain it to them every time.
yeah, yeah,
That that should go for everybody really. It's, but practicing Yonkama and practicing that 4 panel, get your message across in 4 panels, get it across quickly, massively helped. Plus, there's that whole thing of like, practice is repetition. For every 1,000 pieces of art you produce, one of them will be good. So get the other 999 out as quickly as possible. Same principle. It's
mm,
quicker to make a Yonkama than it is to make a 4-page manga, for example. So
yeah.
more practice, much faster.
All right. So great practice then with Yonkomas. Now, you mentioned that one of your biggest wins from last year, 2024, was that you ended a 5-year hiatus from drawing and developed a more confident art style, right? So,
Yes.
do you feel like being in this program played a part in that? And if it did, how so?
I believe it has. So the course just broke me out of my complacency. It broke me out of my art block and got me actually putting pen to paper and finishing work, which was at the time for me it was huge. As I say, I hadn't actually brought anything to complete. I hadn't finished a piece of art in such a long time, and just to know that I had it in me still, and it put eyes on my work, so I began to understand what worked, what didn't. I was able to use that feedback I was receiving to kind of like, more precisely improve elements I felt needed work. That I feel was a big help. And like I say, it was the community that did that.
Yeah.
That was a big part of it.
All right. Now, was there a specific moment, I guess, that a moment where things finally clicked for you? I mean, was it when you first made your yonkoma, or maybe was it your first mentoring session or your first coaching session?
It was my first coaching session that really, like, things started to flow. I'd finished that first Yonkama, and I was looking at I was looking at a completed story with a beginning, middle, and end, and I was thinking, okay, how can I refine this? How can I do this better? Okay, I don't like the way the characters look. Let's practice that. I don't like the way this looks. Let's practice that. And then just kind of that gets the ball rolling. And then once you have that momentum, you can just keep going, just keep filling pages, just keep so long as your practice is helpful, so to say.
Right.
And then
So,
yeah,
yeah.
back and forth it helps.
And the one way that you can make sure that your practice is helpful is actually like moving you forward and actually giving and actually like you're actually making progress when you're practicing is to have like a professional's advice and have to like get a second opinion from a professional, get support from your coaches and so that they can like help set you on the right path basically. So once you got done with that first coaching session, like how did it feel to finally see your manga ideas actually turn into pages put down on paper?
It was great. It was like the clouds had lifted, basically. It was I can't really describe it. It's like, you know, for the first time in over a decade,
Mm,
I was able to reflect back, I was able to think back and think, I'm on track. You, you know, I'm on a path that I can actually achieve something that I want to do.
mm,
Just it's such a simplistic thing to be able to act with purpose, but it does make a difference.
mm. So I'm actually kind of touched that you felt that way. It's really nice to hear about how our students get impassioned and get a burst of confidence just through the simple act of like getting the right support that they need, right? So I'm really glad to hear that, Joe, like after a decade, you say that now you feel like, okay, I'm finally on the right track. I know what I'm doing. And it's like you said, it's different when you're doing something with purpose and you actually believe that you can do it. And I think belief and confidence is a really key motivator if you actually want to become a serious artist, right, for a living, or a serious mangaka for a living. It's very important that you believe in yourself and you believe that, okay, I can do this. So, do you think that that's something that you've achieved now, Joe? Do you feel a bit more confident in yourself? Do you feel like, okay, even if this one thing doesn't go right, and even if this one manga isn't how I intended it, or I'm not as satisfied with it, I'm just going to keep going
Well,
because
sure.
you believe like you're confident and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's like I I went from like very strongly resenting my own work to now I actually really enjoy everything I do and I enjoy the process more. So it's I've gotten myself to a point where it's like, you know, successful or not, whether or not like because like I say, I've taken one of my recent ideas, I've taken it to print now. I'm in like that kind of pitching process, and even if it doesn't work out entirely, well, that's fine because I'm still going to be here. I'm still going to be making my stuff.
Mm,
That's okay.
mm,
Um, and yeah, it's like I'm on this ride. I'm on this ride now. I am driving the train, and to any and all who want to get on the train and ride it with me, free to do so. But it's going. It's
mm. Yeah, you committed. Okay. All right. So, okay. That said, what do you think is one thing that you used to struggle with, like back when you were still unsure about your whole decision to actually pursue being an artist and pursue being a mangaka? What was one thing that you used to struggle with that you feel that that feels much easier now for you?
setting manageable goals and keeping up with them. That is seriously like just my heartfelt advice to people out there. Learning proper goal management is one of the most important skills that you can that you can
Mm,
learn. It is Being able
Mm.
to like have your eyes set on the horizon, but notice the road, notice the stops on the road, then move
Yeah.
towards those, you know. It's
Yeah.
all you are going you are going in the right, you know, so long as you have your sights on that anchor, you know, that North Star, if you will. Um, so long as you have your eyes set on that, wherever the road takes you,
Mm.
just keep that in mind. You know, it's because I was terrible. You know, it was
Yeah.
I would have a new idea. I would think, you know, well, this will be the one. This will be the one I can finish. This will be the one I can be proud of. And then I get about 3 weeks in, and it's still not the way I want it. And instead of celebrating all the little successes along the way, instead of celebrating reaching the little stops on the way to the big stop, you get discouraged because you're not where you wanted to be right
Mm.
away. If you get me, and that's it's easy to become misguided
Mm.
when you don't have that anchor.
Mm. So you mentioned how like you were terrible at setting manageable goals, right? So were you the type that, oh, I come up with this new idea, I'm gonna forget this other idea that I already started, and I'm gonna focus on this new one. Were you that type where you would easily get distracted by new ideas that would pop up into your head and you would try to like pursue that? Or maybe like you had so many drafts that you never got to finish and all that?
Yeah, there's like two people I know who are in the chat who are going to start screaming at me in a second if I say that I'm not that type of person. But yeah, yeah, definitely was.
Yeah. So what kind of if you could give me an example, what kind of manageable goals did help you avoid that kind of like bad habit, you know? Like
So
what's your process? Yeah.
my process right now is, well, I have a little task to one Yonkama a week. Well, it's every other week, but I like to do a weekly one.
Mm.
And kind of like I'm trying this hybrid approach because you know, a couple months ago, I would start storyboarding, thumbnailing, storyboarding things, do like the full run of you know, 20 something pages. It would take me less than a week. So again, already it's like you're taking the project that would take you months to a year, breaking it down. Okay, finish the first draft. Let's celebrate. That's all. That's a great achievement. And then next round of improvements, celebrate that. Next round of improvements, keep refining it, keep refining it. I'm trying now a hybrid approach where it's like, okay, so we've got the storyboard and now let's do like a panel at a time. Let's just kind of work on it a bit by bit. And again, keeping up with, because then you might get to the point you now have a massive pile of sketches. And now it's like, well, now I have to refine them all. And oh, this task is huge. And I'm not going to be able to celebrate a win for quite a while now. Sorry, I think you're muted.
Sorry. All right. So yeah, that was the importance of manageable goals, you guys. You have to like set goals that can actually stick to and can actually commit to, like what Joe said, like do a yonkoma like every week or every other week. And doing a yonkoma is easy enough, right? And it's getting into the habit of it that's a challenge for most people. Like setting a manageable goal is easy, but sticking to it is the hard part for a lot of like beginners. So you need to really like develop that discipline to really stick to it because okay, I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this so that I can actually get better and achieve that ultimate goal of, I don't know, getting published or working with a publisher, working with an editor, and actually finally getting your manga out there, you know? So it's always important to have that discipline when you're setting manageable goals. All right.
Yeah.
So, what would you say, Joe, is the biggest difference between your work now versus your work before the program?
So my work before joining the program, I mean, you know, we've seen some like radical differences in the way I used to draw and the way I continue to do art now. And rather than because a lot of that stuff it used to take me months to get a single page out, and now it takes me a day at most. It's so speed has been a big thing. Consistency has been another. That's something I've very much worked on. Getting like that consistent style, getting that consistent designs, and I think the art I produce now, I feel like I can produce it more. Well, I'm going to use the word consistently again. Yeah, I feel like I can produce it more consistent. It's more speaks to me.
Mm. So, so what's it like now? Like now that you've been in the program for a couple of months, not a year, but like a couple of months now, and you've gotten better in terms of like speed, consistency, and all of the things that you mentioned. Now, do you think being part of the community helped with that? Like not just going about it on your own? Do you think that helped? And what do you think what's it like just in general being a part of this community?
I'll say it again. The community is great. We push each other
Mm.
to succeed. We are there to celebrate each other's wins. Being able to track your own progress, um, and having that support in doing that, that's a very important thing because when you try to, and I know what it's like to try to work in isolation, and loneliness and effort is not a very good combination. You do need eyes on a project. It can't be done entirely in a vacuum because you need support, and that's fine. And being
All
part of
right.
a community gives you that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people, a lot of the people that I've seen at least who've applied to this program, a lot of them struggle with their confidence because they don't have a supportive community around them, right? A lot of the people who apply to the program um don't really have a lot of friends who are interested in manga, or they don't really have any family members who are interested in manga, and they basically no one to support them and encourage them to pursue the goals that they want to pursue for themselves, right? And that's really important because going about this journey alone is a big challenge, right? Without having that right support to keep you motivated and to keep you going. Because being not having support can really m- make a difference between someone who is able to make it and someone who does. Because if you just have a lot of people surrounding you who keep bringing you down, then of course you're not going to get better because you're going to start to believe them, you know? So surrounding yourself with the right type of community, surrounding yourself with the right type of people who will support you on your journey is very important, you guys. So that's why like find friends who like the same things you do, who like manga, also want to make manga of their own. That's really important. And maybe join communities like ours who are filled with tons of aspiring manga artists who just want to do the same thing. They just want to make manga and they want to get published and they want to actually pursue making manga full time, you know? So yeah, that's it's really important to just like make friends, you guys. So looking back, Joe, what do you think you tell your past self, like the one who was struggling to get back into drawing all those years ago? What would you tell them?
Well, and this is advice that you hear a lot is just do the thing.
Hmm.
Just put the work in, get the ball rolling. And I think a quote that stuck with me for years now comes from Bruce Lee. I'm just going to paraphrase it a little bit. When someone insults you, it's okay because you can move past it, you can get over it, you can ignore it. So, people saying hurtful things about you to you. When it's yourself telling you, saying those hurtful things about yourself, that's not acceptable because your subconscious doesn't understand even if you say it in jest, your subconscious is going to believe it.
Yeah.
And that reinforces those negative feelings, and it's always counterproductive.
Yeah.
So that is, I think, I'd probably tell myself earlier that, yeah, self-sabotage is probably your biggest enemy right now,
Mhm.
and fix that. Things fall into place later. Just
Yeah.
keep going. Keep
Like
going.
how did you fix? Because self-sabotage, it's hard when you're really on your journey by yourself, right? Like there's always going to be that tendency to self-sabotage, like you mentioned. So how do you like avoid it? How did you avoid it? Or how did you fix it?
Um, I mean, basically just a lot of self-help books. Uh,
Yeah.
being, learning to be kind to yourself, celebrating victories,
Mm,
let forgiving yourself for, past wrongs that you've done against
mm,
your own ego type of thing.
mm, mm-mm.
It's a process. It's a process.
Yeah, it's a process. And I know like a lot of struggling artists have this problem where if something goes wrong, like they immediately just want to quit, right? So I'm sure perhaps like you've gone through that where okay, something went wrong with this comic or with this like thing that you were working on, and it's just like really demotivated you. How do you try
Mm.
and come back from that?
Coming back from demotivation is tricky.
Mm,
I still go through, yeah, cards on the table. I still have periods where you wake up in the morning, you sit down to draw, and you're just overwhelmed with what is the point?
mm,
And to overcome that, well, I said I enjoy the process. I just start drawing.
yeah.
You have to make it your therapy.
Mm,
I know that sounds strange, it sounds counterintuitive, but you do work through it.
yeah.
If you give yourself time and you give yourself patience.
Yeah. And I think the key word there is that you enjoy the process, right? Like you love the process, you enjoy the process. And even if you're bogged down by mistakes or failures in your journey along the way, it's part of the process. You guys, as long as you remember this is part of the process, you will make mistakes, you will fail a few times down the road. But if you keep that passion alive, like you're if you genuinely love what you're doing, then that's going to motivate you to keep going, right? So if you enjoy the process, if you love doing what you do, then you can move past it. Okay. So that's the important part. Always keep your passion alive. That's what our mentors always preach to our students that if you feel like you're too overwhelmed and you're too burnt out, then it's okay to take a break um, and not forsake the passion that you have for making manga. Because some people, they overwork themselves to the point that, okay, I hate doing this now because this is too stressful for me. So you need to be able to really regulate yourself and know when it's time to like take a step back and breathe for a minute and just to keep that love for the work alive, right? So, yeah, wise words from Joe. Now, Joe, what is your next goal as a mangaka? You mentioned that you wanted to create a manga to publish at your local comic book store. So obviously publishing is one of your goals, but is that your next goal after like doing your thing, doing the stuff in the program, or what?
Well, my immediate next goal is, I have a backlog of things I have sketched and not
Mm,
finished. I got to clear that out. So there's that. There's, as you say, there is the story that I have storyboarded, and that needs finishing.
mm,
And then later on this year is the silent manga audition, which I plan on
mm,
entering.
you're gonna enter the silent manga edition. I didn't know that. Oh my God, that's so cool. All right,
Ah,
that's really exciting. So, do you already have something in mind for your
I do.
submission? All
I've
right. All
got an
right.
idea.
No spoilers, no spoilers.
Nope.
Okay. But yeah, it's really exciting that you've already like started thinking about it. So yeah, so you're aside from the silent manga edition, that means for sure that you're interested in joining more contests aside from the silent manga edition. Is it something
Absolutely.
that you
Like
definitely want to do? Yeah.
you know, even if you, because it's a global competition. There is a lot of talent out there, but
Yeah.
I really believe you owe it to yourself to be tested in that way.
Yeah.
That's how you know what you're made of. And even if you're not happy with your skills right now, and I do see areas I could definitely improve still, but it's a work in progress.
Mm.
Um, when you test yourself, when you put yourself through those challenges, it's like in any great shonen, you level up
Yeah.
from doing that, from
Yeah.
trials.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this before in a previous live interview, but the biggest difference between someone who's tried and someone who hasn't is that the person who's tried has gained experience and has actually leveled up from a failure. And that failure could be like maybe they entered a manga contest, but they didn't really like qualify or they didn't really win. Like sure, you could count it as a failure, but ultimately at the end of the day, it's experience, right? So, like Joe said, it's important to test yourself and like give yourself these experiences so that you know, okay, this is what I need to do to get better. Because in manga contests, you actually get more professional advice from the judging panel, right? Because in a lot of manga contests right now that are open globally, the publishers behind them, the judging panel for these contests are like experienced editors, experienced mangakas. Even if there's like a huge mangaka that's on the judging panel, it'll be advertised on the site. So getting these people's feedback or getting the chance to get these people's feedback just by entering the contest is a huge opportunity already, you know. So yeah, if even like what Joe said, even if you're not confident in your skills right now, you owe it to yourself to try, you know, because you never know until you try. So yeah, I think thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for that answer, Joe.
Thank
Now, if you guys are just tuning into the live and you missed out on this detail during the intro earlier, Joe is actually one of our students in our one-shot manga drawing program. And yeah, we have a program. It's a course dedicated to teaching you everything you need to know about how to make and finish your first one-shot manga. And it's open to all kinds of artists, beginner artists, artists who've never drawn before, artists who've never made manga before. It's open to all. So if you think why one shots, right? Why a one shot manga drawing program? Why teach you how to make your first one shot? Because in the manga industry, every pro mangaka right now who's active right now, or maybe who's a legendary pro mangaka, they all got their start making one shots. And if you think about like your favorite manga from your favorite mangakas, they've most likely released a one shot before, or their series started out as a one shot, you know. So One Piece started out as a one shot, Death Note started out as a one shot, Dragon Ball started out as a one shot. So as you can see, like learning how to make a one shot is a very vital step in your journey as a mangaka. So if you want to be a serious mangaka, then you've got to be able to like finish your first one shot and like at least make a couple of one shots before you actually get to a series, right? So our goal is to empower more aspiring manga artists. And we've been working with students through our one shot manga drawing program, like Joe, these past few months. And you've all gotten to know Joe and his progress since joining the course. And here's what the rest of our students had to say about their experience. So we have Miriam. Miriam joined us a year ago, and before joining us, she'd been drawing as a hobby. But since rediscovering her love for manga and joining our course, her skills have improved so much, and she's already kickstarted her journey to finally making her first one shot. Now, this is what she had to say. I'm incredibly happy to be part of LTDM because it's super well rounded. Teachers are amazing, the coaches are amazing, and the students are amazing. I used to go to college for 3D animation, learn how to draw, used to go to class every day and draw everything, but I've never progressed more than right now. So, you guys, this is what Miriam had to say, and it's always nice to see how far our students like Miriam have come. You can just see like the before and after, right? So next up, we also have our student Garrett. Garrett joined our course back in 2023 with the goal to finally be able to tell his story through manga. So he's sorry, he's already had his story like brewing in his mind long before he joined our course. And now, since he's joined our course, he's working towards actually making it into a manga. And this is what he had to say about his experience. Being in this community has helped me speed run my progress. I'm thankful for the support and encouragement of my coaches and peers, and I wouldn't have made this far because without them. So, yeah. Next up, we also have our student Eduardo. Now, Eduardo is one of our students who's actually had experience participating in manga contests before. He's joined the silent manga edition before, and after getting feedback from the silent manga edition, because like if you didn't know, you guys, if you submit a work to the silent manga edition, regardless of whether you qualify for the top or whether you win something or not, they will always give you feedback. They'll send you feedback after you after you've submitted. So it's a great opportunity for anyone who's looking to get feedback from editors and from publishers. So yeah, after Eduardo got feedback from the silent manga edition, he decided to work more on his skills, which led him to our program. And he started working on his storyboards in June 2024. And 5 months later, he finished his one shot, which is now up on Manga Plus Creators, which you can check out later, perhaps after this live. So, yeah, this is what Eduardo had to say. I reached a new level of detail and characterization, learned more about backgrounds and how to be more creative about doing things against a deadline. And the mentors always give way better feedback to my works than I would, and they genuinely want us to do a good job. Now, now that you've heard from our students, I have a question for you guys. You're here because you want to learn how to draw manga, right? You want to improve your art and feel more confident, right? So, would you rather do it yourself? Would you rather like learn how to make manga yourself, or would you rather have a proven path to success with the right support? So you've seen our students' results. You've read how happy they are with the community and guidance from our mentors. Now the question is, do you want in too? Please type I want in the chat if you're interested, if you want in the program, if you want to get the right support like our students have been getting in the past years. They've been in the program. Let me know. Just type I want in the chat. Ooh, all right. I want in. All right, we have Sega Master, we have Pixel Brush, we have Pals. All right. Jintara says this channel is the most consistent and helpful advice I'll ever forget. Oh, thank you, Jintara. Ooh, the chat is a bit. Hmm, sorry, you guys, I'm banning a couple of people because there's just some people who aren't really nice. Oh my gosh, what's happening to chat today? All right, I want in. Pals, I want in. Miyuki, I was already in. Thanks, Miyuki. Welcome, Miyuki. Jintara, let us in. I want in. Yes, but can't afford. I want in, but can't. Aw. Um, I want into. All right. Thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so much for showing so much enthusiasm. All right. I really appreciate it, you guys. So if you're one of the people who said that they want in, if you want to make your time doing art more meaningful and more productive, then our One Shot Manga program membership is for you, because we are on a mission to accelerate your growth all while having fun learning together, and you will have amazing pro mangaka mentors to guide you. So first up, we have the amazing Now Yazawa, which we name drop, who we name drop earlier. Yazawa Sensei is a professional Japanese manga artist with over 30 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry, and she's the illustrator of the iconic manga turned anime known as Wedding Peach. Yeah, so Yazawa Sensei is really cool. They've been in the manga industry for over like 30, 40 years now, and they've actually gotten their manga published as an anime, released as an anime, you guys. It was a famous 90s anime back in the 90s. It's a magical girl anime. So if you like magical girl anime, maybe you could check out Wedding Peach if you haven't yet. Now, she's also authored her own how to draw manga books and teaches at a manga school in Tokyo, Japan. Next up, we also have Rena Saya. Rena Saya is a Tokyo-based professional Japanese mangaka with over 20 years of experience in the Japanese manga industry, and she's a manga author who's worked on 12 books with the Japanese manga publisher Shogakukan and is currently a freelance manga artist. She also teaches at a manga school in Tokyo, Japan. All right. And we also have Steph Pastrano, who is a pro webtoon artist. He's an illustrator known for his amazing anime and manga art and is currently a freelance artist. And he's also an artist for his own ongoing line webtoon. Then we also have the amazing Art Crumbs. Art Crumbs is an American manga artist and Viz Originals creator. They worked with Hisashi Sasaki on their one shot Onami that is now published on Viz Media. And they're also releasing their manga God's Bane on Global Comics. And yeah, you guys, those are our mentors. Just a reminder, we're not just taking in anyone. So if you feel like, I don't know, if you feel like this program isn't for you, if you feel like, no, I don't have the time, I'm too busy, I can't commit to making manga, then this program might not be for you, because we want to work with aspiring manga artists who actually want to be empowered and who actually want to improve with the right support. So this program is for you if you're at least 18 years old and comfortable writing and speaking English. All of our mentors are fluent in English. So even though they're Japanese, they're fluent in English. So you'll be able to really get valuable feedback from our mentors directly in one-on-one sessions and in one-on-one mentoring sessions. And this program is for you if you're a beginner who wants to learn how to draw manga and start telling your own stories, and you have a passion for manga and you dream of getting published or winning contests with your original artwork, and you're seeking confidence in a supportive community to share your art and grow as a manga artist. All right, so if this sounds like you, then we're inviting you to apply to our online one-shot manga drawing program. And again, we're only accepting applicants who are 18 years old and above. All right. So this is the moment, you guys. This is the moment of truth. Apply now with the link in the description. You can check out the link in the description to apply now, or maybe you could also check out our website, learntodrawmanga.com, if you want to learn more about the program, learn more about our mentors, and maybe check out a couple of the testimonials our students have up on the website. All right. So yeah, thanks you guys. Thank you guys for showing so much appreciation for Joe in the chat. I'm sure he's really appreciative. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys being so supportive of Joe's journey in the chat as well and showing so much enthusiasm. So now is the time for the Q&A portion. If you have any specific questions for Joe about his journey, now's the time to ask you guys. All right. I'm seeing a couple of questions in the chat. When will Joe become a mentor?
Let's not go that far.
But yeah, maybe, you never know. All right. No, we do not let in people who are under 18. No. Who do you guys, if you guys have any questions for Joe, now's the time to ask. Pixel Brush asks, when and where can I buy your stuff, Joe?
Oof. Right now it is kind of only I've got a deal with some um local comic stores. So if you're in kind of like the Cheshire area, um, but no, if my link tree was posted, I'm quite active on X and on Instagram, so I'm very approachable. Just feel free to reach out.
All right. You can check out, again, you guys, you can check out Joe's link tree if you want to check out more of his stuff. I've linked it in the comments, but I'm going to link it again if you'll give me a second. So while I do that, maybe drop in a couple of more questions for Joe. Joe, I think there's one more question. Someone asks,
When will I work alongside
yeah.
Hiri? Okay. Well, when I have a bizarre adventure, okay?
All right. How did you manage to push through the fails or unaccomplishments you faced? Asks LA Rat.
Spite. No, just you know, like I say, it's good to like have that direction, have that Polaris, and just yeah, find reasons. That's all I can really say. It's like do little exercises where it's like okay, to all yeah, list all the people who told you you can't. Okay, prove them wrong.
Just be
Are you gonna
petty.
let them win?
Just be petty. I mean, you'll never know. Actually, for some people, like the spite really does motivate you. Like Joe here. All right. Who else? We also have another question. What manga contest do you recommend for beginners? The contests that we recommend for our students are contests like the silent manga edition and also the Kadokawa wordless manga edition. Not sorry, I got that wrong. Kadokawa wordless manga contest. All right, so those two contests are pretty good for beginners. One because they're super well known. You can like look into other people's experiences about joining this contest, so you know what to expect. And also like these are manga contests that require you to submit manga with no dialogue whatsoever. So you can't add any text, add any dialogue. You just it's a pure test of your storytelling skills, your visual storytelling skills without the aid of speech bubbles or text boxes. So it's a really good exercise for beginners who really want to practice their visual storytelling skills, you know, because manga is all about visual storytelling. Yes, you have like the speech bubbles to, and also the sound effects and all of that to help immerse you further and help you like follow along the story that's happening. But ultimately, it relies on the scenes, it relies on the composition of your scenes, and also relies on the flow of your panels. So it's a visual medium. So visual story, being able to like practice your visual storytelling is really important if you want to join these contests. So yeah, it's a good exercise, it's a good opportunity for beginners. And Pals
I like
asks Joe, what's your reason to become an artist or mangaka?
Well, I'd like to answer that question and quick fire with a couple others.
Yeah.
So what's my reason to become a an artist slash mangaka? Well, I have a lot of ideas and I would like to pull them out of my head and put them onto page. It's really kind of a weird mixed answer because I've tried, you know, I tried creative writing, I've tried animation, I've tried game development to get my ideas out of my head, and manga comics, honestly, like that's a very nice balance between it's a good amount of effort, it's very doable. Game development, I someone in the chat asked, "Can you do game development and be a mangaka side by side?" Yes, but you need to manage your time very, very carefully because game development is an entirely different kettle of fish. You have coding, you have sound, you have it's just an exponentially bigger task, especially to do solo. So
Mm.
I wish you luck with if that's what you're trying to do, and you have any you end up with any advice down the road, contact me because I'm still looking out for that one.
Mm-mm.
And there was another one. Am I Joe Yabuki? No, no, I'm not. I don't know who that is.
I don't know either.
Have I thought about making a serialization manga? Yes, that is something I am still looking into. The stuff that I'm working on right now, just the smaller comics that's part of like a larger universe. Have I met Gyro Zappelli before? Once in passing. Uh,
Wait, who's Gyros? Who is that?
JoJo's Bizarre Adventure character.
Oh, sorry. I just outed myself as someone who hasn't read JoJo yet. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna get to it. I'm sorry about that. All right.
Let's see. How you start your journey, how do you manage your time? Managing time. So time management, like goal setting, is another like very important skill. Usually after I'm done with work, I only have about 3 or 4 hours every day to be able to like work on stuff, and it's like maximizing what you can do within an hour is variable, which is why Yonkama are very it's very good to keep that to keep that progress going. Because if you can draw 4 panels in an hour, then you can
Mm.
potentially draw a whole page in like an hour and a half. It's
Yeah.
yeah, most most manga pages have anywhere between like 2 to 7 panels maximum. So it's yeah,
Yeah.
bit of maths.
All right. I think we can pick out one or two more questions before we end the live for tonight, you guys. So we have one from Ever So Slightly. I love the name. Question, Joe, what makes you convinced to commit to the Learn to Draw Manga program after taking that free call, and how long is the free call?
The free call is, geez, I'm trying to remember now. It was
It was a while ago. Yeah.
yeah, my memory's not that good.
But typically like they
So
take like over an hour or
it was
30
over an
minutes.
hour. It
Yeah.
was, yeah. Kind of what made me commit. Well, I mean, I was in an interesting place, kind of like mentally back then, and like I say, it's self-investment. And it just things have been like really looking really good from that moment, and I don't look back, I don't regret it.
Mm,
It's been a very it I definitely yeah support that decision. Kind of what made me finally say yes was yeah, I have a shot at what is my dream.
mm.
Gotta take it.
All right. What's okay, I think we can have one more question from Miyuki. Miyuki asks, Joe, what resources do you use for reference?
Okay, so I go on very long walks and I take a lot of photos and I find reference
Mm,
that way. There are pose libraries you can find online that help you with anatomy. For like animals and for things like that, yeah, Google Images, spend a day out at the zoo, see how things move and see how the light affects stuff.
yeah.
As for like composition, because that's an entirely other subject, like paneling, composition, stuff like that. Yeah, you can reference other mangaka, you can reference other artists to a point, but what you have to remember is you're seeing the world through their filter, and now you're seeing their filtered view through your filtered view. So
Yeah.
it's kind of a compounding thing. What I like to do with a lot of compositional reference, look to the classics, classical art, things like that.
Mm,
Just kind of keep practicing is, keep practicing in an effective way is
yeah.
the Sure of it.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, one last question, you guys. There's a lot actually. There's another question from, okay, let's choose like one good question. Um, how long did it take for you to master anatomy? Asks Pals.
That is a loaded question. I am
Yeah,
still
he's
trying
still
to.
trying.
Nobody masters
Yeah,
anatomy. We're all
yeah.
kind of figuring it out as we go along.
All right, all right. All right. So I think, okay, let's have one more. One more. Will you do weekly or monthly manga? Asks Sega Master.
Hmm.
Like,
Weekly.
what do you mean weekly or monthly manga? Like a series? Like weekly releases, like a chaptered sort of thing? I think right now Joe mentioned that he's doing like a yonkoma a week. So technically that's a weekly manga, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I think if I was working, I think if I was working it full time, um, geez, let me think. I could probably manage probably eight to 12 pages a week if I was working at it dawn to dusk.
Hmm.
So realistically, right now we're looking at probably monthly or like every other month.
For like a full manga, you mean? Or
Yeah.
like chaptered
Like
manga?
I say, chaptered, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of in the 8 to 12 page range. Yeah, just thinking about, time usage realistically.
Okay. So I think that's pretty much all the questions that everyone has for today, that I have for today as well. So thank you guys so much for your questions. And before we end, I want to leave you all with this last question. Okay, so what will you be tomorrow if you start today? Our students like Joe joined the program months ago, and now they've already made significant improvements in their art and storytelling skills, and that could be you if you just take the leap. So you can check out the link in the description, or you can check out our website to learn more about the program. And yeah, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Joe, for coming onto the channel and for answering all of my questions and for answering everyone else's questions as well. So you guys, please check out Joe's stuff. You can check out that link that we have on screen. And yeah, Joe, do you have any parting words for the chat?
Um,
Or any advice for anyone who wants to pursue making manga like you do?
my advice to people is you have to kind of you have to see life as a rock wall. Sometimes you are stuck staring at the wall, sometimes you're looking down and it's dizzying. Sometimes the peak up above, it seems too far away to even manage. But so long as you're moving, so long as you keep moving, you're okay. You will get to the next ledge. You will get there. You
All
just have
right.
to keep climbing.
All right. So I think
That sounded better in my head.
no, no, no. I think I got it. I think everyone else in the chat got it. Did you guys get it? But yeah, I think ultimately what Joe means is just keep going. Just keep going. Just keep working on your manga. If you have a passion for it, if you love doing it, then why not? You can do it. All right. Wise words to end on from Joe. Thank you so much again, Joe, for coming on to the live. And thank you guys so much for coming on to the live as well. As LA Rat says, what if you can't climb IRL?
I be I believe in you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, anything is possible if you genuinely believe in yourself, you guys. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for coming onto the live. That's where we'll end it for today. Thank you so much. And please watch out for our upcoming 4-page session, 4-page manga one-shot session with Art Crumbs this week, next weekend. We've already received all your 4-page manga one-shot submissions, and Art Crumbs is going to be critiquing them live next weekend. So watch out for that. Lots of exciting stuff. So yeah, Thank you guys. Goodbye. Have a good night. Have a good morning. Have a good day wherever you guys are. And see you at our next live. Goodbye, you guys.
Cool. Thank you.